All right, what's good, everyone? It's Nigel here, Trinidad Empowerment Network. So, I've had a few days off. I've been feeling under the weather, so apologies if I haven't been keeping you updated. But I'm back now. I am back, and we have some updates for you indeed. So tonight we need to talk about again something that's quite serious that's happening right now in the Caribbean, because, like I've said to you on previous video, what's happening in Trinidad and Tobago right now isn't routine military activity. It is not routine military activity, as you well know. So right now we have some of the most advanced US military assets sitting just off our coastline, close enough to Venezuela, that a response time is measured in minutes, not hours. This is where we currently are in the zone of peace in the Caribbean. And when this level of firepower moves into position, it's never by accident. So before we unpack all of this, I want you to like and subscribe to Trinidad Empowerment Network. Thank you to every single one of you. Let's break this down. Let's unpack all of this. So let's make this simple. And as clear as I can. The military firepower the United States have in the Caribbean seas right now is not for speedboats. Don't insult anyone's intelligence, America, or the leaders of Trinidad and Tobago, please. We're not idiots, please. So first you have the USS Iwo Jima. This is an amphibious assault ship, but I want you to think of it as a floating military base. It's a floating military base at sea. It carries the US Marines, it carries tanks, it carries armored vehicles, helicopters, drones, and in some configuration, it carries fighter jets. It's literally a floating military base at sea. And this is apparently for narco-terrorists or whatever nonsense they decide to feed us this time. I digress. This ship exists for one purpose, audience, to land troops into a conflict zone rapidly. That's it. That is it. That's ship number one. Next, we have the USS Fort Lauderdale. Excuse my pronunciation. This is called a landing platform dock. But again, in plain English, this is a ship designed to move troops and vehicles from the sea to the land during an invasion. Alongside those, we have the Ali Burke class destroyer. This is not a patrol boat, ladies and gentlemen. This is a ship that carries long-range missiles capable of destroying or shooting down aircrafts or intercepting enemy weapons, all from hundreds of kilometers away. And I still haven't finished yet. And finally, we have something called the overhead KC-135 aerial refueling aircraft. The KC-135 area refueling aircraft. Now, these only appear when a military expects planes and drones to stay airborne for hours, for very, very long missions. You do not deploy refueling tankers for casual exercises. You deploy them when you are preparing for sustained operations. And that is a level of firepower we have now in the zone of peace in the Caribbean. So what has already started? Let's talk about what's going on right now. So, for a good few months, the US has been operating under this operation called Operation Southern Spear. That's essentially what you've been seeing on the news repeatedly here on 10. The US blowing boats out of the water in the Caribbean, destroying I think it's 22 boats so far across the region and killing over 80 people that they label as narco criminals. More than 80 people dead so far. No evidence of anything, as you know. So let's be clear, 10. A low-intensity war is already happening in the Caribbean. The war has already begun. The public just isn't being told the truth. The public isn't being told what's happening right now or being told plainly what's happening. But you believe your eyes. You believe what you see. Venezuela isn't just any country, Trinidad Empowerment Network. Let's dive into this. They're not just any other. It sits on one of the largest oil and gas reserves on the planet, as you know. Follow the oil, as they say. Follow the oil. That alone makes Venezuela a geopolitical prize, especially to America. And then you look at the political timing. You have an opposition figure in Venezuela called Maria Corina Machado. She was recently awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, as you know. She has openly told the United States and Western investors that if she replaces Maduro, Venezuela will open its oil and gas sector to foreign control and investment. Her message is essentially, help me remove Maduro and you can have access to the energy.
Forget about Saudi Arabia. Forget about the Saudis. I mean, we have more oil. I mean, infinite potential. And we're going to open markets. We're going to kick off the government from the oil sector. We are going to privatize all our industry. Venezuela has huge resources: oil, gas, minerals, land, technology. And as you said before, we have a strategic location, hours from the United States. So we're going to do this right. We know what we have to do. We know the failures of solution has been, and we're going to put order. We're going to have rule of law. It's going to be clear, transparent. It's going to be so attractive that no other country in the world is going to be competitive to what we're going to design. And American companies are in, super strategic position to invest. This country, Venezuela, is going to be the brightest opportunity for investment of American companies, of good people that are going to make a lot of money.
So what do we have here? 10. We have a country full of resources. We have potentially, some will argue differently, potentially a weakened government. And we have an opposition leader aligned with US interest, and now US military power, positioning herself to take power if the United States decided to invade. This is not coincidence. As you know, this is not coincidence. This is a strategy. This is a strategy. It's as obvious as anything if you decided to read and make yourself knowledgeable or tune into 10, of course. It's clearly obvious. It's a United States playbook. It's been done many times before, and it's almost like no one could do anything about it. So recently, the US changed the formal classification of Venezuelan-linked groups from narco-terrorists to terrorists. They changed the name, the classification from narco-terrorists to terrorists. And most people just glossed over this, didn't pay much attention to that simple change. That single word change is massive. It's huge because under US law, you can only conduct limited action against drug groups. But once a group is designated a terrorist group, the president can legally launch full military strikes without the Senate's approval, without international approval, and without the UN, the United Nations. Not that the US listens to the United Nations anyway. So that change in name alone gives them all the authority to carry out military action. That means one person, Donald Trump, now has the legal authority to order military action at any time in the Caribbean because of that word change. No debate, no vote, no global consultation. This essentially is what military dominance gives you. This is what military dominance gives you. This is what being the biggest, strongest person in the room gives you. The ability to act first and explain later, whilst having zero consequences. So that name change from narco-terrorist to terrorist is significant for the United States, at least. And no one's talking about this. Everyone's glossed over it. Not here at 10. So there are always warning signs. There are always warning signs. Right now, we are seeing multiple warning signs in the Caribbean. We're seeing warships moving into strategic attack distance. We're seeing refueling aircrafts, meaning sustained operations. They're there for a long time. They prepare for the long haul. They're preparing for the long haul. We're seeing special forces and marine in theater. We're seeing legal language change to justify the action taking place. We're seeing live lethal operations already underway. People being blown out to the sea, over 80 so far. And we're seeing political pressure to replace a government blocking foreign oil access, blocking access to foreign oil. The big companies, the Exxons and the BPs and the Shells, they want access to that oil and gas. So there's one final indicator to watch here, 10. I'm going to conclude on this. For you in Trinidad and Tobago, I want you to keep an eye on this. If the US orders evacuation of its citizens from Venezuela or the region, that meaning Trinidad and Tobago, that is one of the strongest signs conflict is imminent. If you start seeing the order for evacuation of American citizens from Trinidad, if you start seeing the evacuation of American citizens from Trinidad or indeed Venezuela, that will be the strongest clue that war is imminent. We haven't seen that so far. So that's a good thing. But rest assured, the clock is ticking. So that's one thing I would say. Take that from me. Keep an eye on any evacuation of American citizens from Trinidad. That's a great sign. So whether the government admits it or not, Trinidad is now a strategic staging ground for US operation. We've allowed that to happen. The leaders in that country allowed that to happen. From joint exercises, the port access, the troop presence, warships in the Gulf of Paria, it's all happening. Our government has allowed, we've decided not to stay neutral anymore. We've decided to take a side, and our government has allowed access to the US. So when you host the biggest military on earth in your region, you automatically become part of their strategy. You know this. I'm probably stating the obvious here. Now, power doesn't ask permission. Power does not ask permission. Power simply acts. So in a way, we are in a catch-22 situation. But I'd finish by saying this: no war has officially been declared. But as you know, the Caribbean is now a live military theater, as I explained to you. But no war has been declared. The language, as you know, as I explained to you, has changed. The assets are in place, and the resource prize, the oil and gas, is enormous. So this isn't about fear, 10 audience. This is about awareness, because history teaches us one thing, that wars don't start with the first bomb. It does not start with the first bomb. They generally start with positioning, silence, and denial. Positioning, silence, and denial. And we've seen a lot of that coming from the powers that be in Trinidad and Tobago. And right now, that's exactly what and who we are. So stay aware, stay informed, stay tuned in, locked into Trinidad Empowerment Network. I keep my ear to the ground. I bring the best information as I can, as best as I can. Like, subscribe, look after each other. God bless. Take care. Much love. Peace.